Hello, Internet. I'm Kim, and I like Labyrinth. This Jim Henson cult classic follows a teenage girl on a quest to rescue her baby brother from an evil goblin king by solving riddles throughout his labyrinth. There is a lot to unpack here, from behind the scenes to themes in the movie, and I have a lot of opinions regarding this, so brace yourselves. But first, a history lesson. Jim Henson, even today, is mostly known for his work on Sesame Street and The Muppets, but he didn't want to be known just for that, so he got really experimental in the 1980s. Being a fan of artist Brian Froud, he asked for his help in making a whole new world and creatures for ahead of its time, the Dark Crystal. It scared a generation and confused their parents, so it wasn't successful at first. During production, Brian met puppeteer Wendy Middiner, mother of Yoda. Really, look it up. The two fell in love, married, and had a baby named Toby. At the same time, Jim had planned Labyrinth and was in need of a baby MacGuffin. The group teamed up again for what they hoped would be more accessible but could also display Henson's range as a filmmaker. Baby Toby was so used to the goblin characters made by his parents that he wasn't ever scared. Scenes of him crying were done when he got tired. Sadly, it was another fail at the box office. But thanks to video sales, Labyrinth and even Dark Crystal have found their fans and have become cult classics. In recent years, the Jim Henson Company teamed up with Boom Studios to publish comics based around these worlds. Amazing what home releases can do. Now let's look at the movie itself. And a lot of people will really go on about like David Bowie or the amazing puppet work and stuff. But there is something that a lot of people I find talking about Labyrinth don't talk about. The main character, Sarah, played by Jennifer Connelly. Almost immediately in her introduction, we can see that Sarah is a teenage thespian. According to her stepmother, she doesn't seem to have plans or dates on weekends. I was about Sarah's age when I first saw this, so this struck a chord with me. Up till then, I had seen so many teen girl based media where the focus is her social life, fashion, and interest in boys. I didn't have that in my teen years, so learning this about our lead so early piqued my interest. But she's still a teenager, so she's kind of a brat. She feels like a slave for taking care of her baby stepbrother, Toby. Girl, he can't even talk yet. Calm down. But if she thought rationally, then there'd be no movie. Remembering a story she's been reciting, she wishes the Goblin King would take her brother away. And it works. The Goblin King Jareth appears before her, and it's David friggin' Bowie. Oh, we're gonna have a field day when I get to him later. But let's keep our focus on Sarah. She says she didn't mean it and immediately wants her brother back. I've heard a lot of people complain about Sarah being selfish, stupid, whiny, blah blah blah. I adore her for this, and as shown here, her heart as well. Ever seen or been a teenage girl? Everything is suddenly dramatic and intense and feels like the world is out to get you. Don't fault her for acting her age. Really, Jennifer Connelly was 15 while filming this. A teenager playing a teenager. Who knew? Sarah really shows a lot of heart throughout her journey through the labyrinth, too. She trusts Hoggle when they first meet, even if he's a rump. But as they keep running into each other, he becomes a faithful ally, and she's happy to find a familiar face. When the two hear a vicious growl, Hoggle is the first to run while Sarah inspects it. She finds Big Harry Ludo being tortured by smaller goblins. She saves him and they're instant buddies. Their interaction is super soft and I love it. She's also very polite to and clever with the goblins in her journey. Mostly. She was smart to place marks to keep track of where she's been, but smaller goblins mess with them anyway. She plays by the gatekeepers and the knockers' rules, making sure she understands them clearly, even apologizing when she accidentally hurts them. My favorite interaction is with Didymus.
What exactly have you sworn?
I have sworn with my lifeblood. No one shall pass this way without my permission.
Well, may we have your permission?
Well, yes?
Thank you, noble sir.
My lady.
First, what an exchange. Very Muppety. Second, Didymus is best boy. Third, Sarah is absolutely brilliant and I love her. Before we get to another great aspect of Sarah, let's step back and look at fan favorite character, Jareth the Goblin King. I'm getting into some potentially triggering stuff like grooming and predatory behaviors, so feel free to skip here if you need. David Bowie is clearly having a good time with the role. He even wrote the songs for the film, and they're all bops. Yes, even Chilly Down. Fight me. Jareth is mysterious, charismatic, ruthless, and fashionable. Bowie plays the part very well to a point where I think people are too easy on him. Look at the story Sarah tells Toby. The king of the goblins had fallen in love with the girl. Now remember, Jennifer Connelly was 15 while filming this. Bowie was almost 40. As a teenager, when I first saw this, I was concerned for Sarah and got very confused by the ballroom fantasy. Jareth forces Hoggle to feed Sarah a peach, which sends her to a dream where she's in a beautiful ball gown at a party and Jareth dances with her. I knew there had to be some trick, but the song As the World Falls Down made it weirder for me. Why is this love ballad playing? Sarah, don't let him trick you. Why is he looking at her like that? Thankfully, Sarah escapes the dream and lands in a dump, but has forgotten her goal. It took a couple viewings, behind the scenes footage, and deeper thought of the finale to realize what was happening here. Jareth did want Sarah. He wants her like creepy old guys want barely legal young women. But because David Bowie is so darn pretty and makes such a great songs, a lot of people seem to miss that. Pay attention to his offer at the end.
Just let me rule you, and you can have everything that you want. Just fear me, love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave.
Nostalgia Critic once said that this makes no sense. Lots of fangirls see this as him being lonely and seeking love to keep him company. But did he ever say he loves her? No. His choice of words like let me rule you and fear me, love me don't say that. He doesn't want to love her. He wants to own her. He wants to keep her like some toy he can fool around with as he wants to show he's in control of their relationship. A.C.H. Smith wrote a novelization of Labyrinth and described Sarah as someone too old to be turned into a goblin, like the threat on Toby, but too young for Jareth to keep to himself, which perfectly describes their imbalance. Jareth wants control over Sarah, not true love. It's so hard looking up any Labyrinth content without running into Sarah X Jareth posts, and it's exhausting. You do realize this who knows how old man is creeping on a teenager, right? And do you see what he's done to her all this time?
Don't defy me. You're no match for me, Sarah. The dwarf's about to lead her back to the beginning. She'll soon give up when she realizes she has to start all over again. Well, let's see how you deal with this little slice.
No, no, the cleaner!
What?
Run!
How is any of this romantic? Just because of one sequence meant to keep her away from winning? Look, if you yourself have some attraction to Jareth and are projecting that onto Sarah, fine. Go fulfill some dark fantasy you have toward him in whatever you make. But if you believe that Sarah, as a character and not a projection of whatever you want, should have stayed in the Goblin Kingdom with Jareth after everything he did to her, I'm worried about you. But here is where we get to the best part. Sarah's introduced trying to recite a passage from her book, and there's a line she can't remember. She recites the same passage to Jareth in their final confrontation, still getting stuck on the last line. Only after his offer that pretty much says he wants to control her, she says in full confidence, "You have no power over me." This line is everything. This is Sarah taking control of herself, her autonomy, her own dark fantasies, if you must, and calling a stop to all of it on her terms. This line is powerful enough to defeat Jareth and send her and Toby home safely. given how many people are coming forward with confessions on how horrible people have treated them, we need a message like this. Whoever has hurt you, tried to make you someone you're not, forced you into uncomfortable situations, they have no power over you. In my personal account, where I praise this line and its power, some knob tried to tell me that the final confrontation is a message for everyone, also a warning, and certainly not cheap feminism crap. Look, fellas, when women take the lead in a piece of media, as a character, director, writer, what have you, feminist insights are inevitable. Plus, you proved me right by saying this is something important for everyone to know. That's what feminism is. Everyone needs to know when someone is just trying to use you and to get out before it gets worse. Wow, that got political, didn't it? That's one of the things I like about Labyrinth. I take comfort in finding a character I identify with being so clever and sweet, standing up for herself. Not to mention all the amazing effects, catchy songs, and fun characters. By the way, the worm is named William, and his wife is literally his other half. He's the best. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's so cute. Labyrinth deserves its status as a cult classic and more. There's great themes about growing up, but also keeping some things close to remember how those feelings were. That's why Sarah says she'll need her friends like Hoggle, Ludo, and Didymus now and then. Whenever I feel weird about becoming a young adult and taking on more responsibilities, Labyrinth is there to calm me down, keep me grounded, and know I can get through this without giving up my youthful joys. It's a good comfort movie for me and gets me back to where I need to be. Thanks for enduring this especially long ramble. I'm Kim, and that's what I like.